I used to believe my life was ruined because of what other people did to me. My parents, my ex, my boss, even the weather on a bad day. What I didn't realize was that this single habit was quietly destroying everything I cared about. Once I discovered the truth, my entire life changed. Here's something nobody tells you about blame. It feels good in the moment. It feels justified. It feels like the truth. But blame is actually a trap, and most people never escape it. Today I want to walk you through exactly how blaming others ruins your life, piece by piece. And more importantly, I want to show you what happened when I finally stopped. Stay with me, because this might be the most important 10 minutes you spend this week. Let's start with the first way blame destroys you. It steals your power. Think about it this way. Every time you say someone else made you feel a certain way, you're handing them the remote control to your emotions. You're saying they get to decide how you feel, how you act, and how your day goes. I spent years doing this. I would wake up and immediately think about how my coworker was going to ruin my mood. Guess what happened? He did, every single time. Not because he had some magical power over me. Because I gave it to him willingly, without even realizing it. When you blame someone else for your unhappiness, you are essentially outsourcing your own life. You stop being the author of your story. Instead, you become a character who reacts to whatever everyone else does. That is not freedom. That is a cage you built yourself. Now let's talk about the second major problem with blame. It freezes your growth completely. Here's why this happens. If someone else caused all your problems, then logically, you don't need to change anything. You just need them to change, or to disappear, or to apologize. But here's the painful truth. You can't control other people. You never could. So if your growth depends on someone else changing first, you are stuck waiting forever. I know people who have been waiting 15 years for an apology that never came. 15 years of their life, frozen in place. When I stopped blaming my past relationship for my trust issues, something shocking happened. I actually started healing. Not because the other person suddenly became better. Because I stopped waiting for permission to move forward. Let's move on to the third way blame quietly poisons everything. It destroys your relationships from the inside out. Nobody wants to be around someone who is constantly pointing fingers. Think about the last time you were around a chronic blamer. How did it feel? Exhausting, right? Every conversation becomes about who did what to whom. Every problem has a villain. People start avoiding you because being around you feels like walking through a minefield. You never know when you'll accidentally become the next target of blame. I didn't see this pattern in myself until a close friend finally told me the truth. She said, "Every time we talk, you tell me how someone wronged you. I never hear about what you're going to do about it." That single sentence hit me harder than anything else ever had. Here's the fourth consequence, and this one is sneaky. Blame keeps you anxious and stressed without you even realizing why. When you believe the world is full of people who are out to get you or constantly failing you, your nervous system stays on high alert. Your body doesn't know the difference between an actual threat and a perceived one. If you constantly feel wronged, your stress hormones stay elevated. Over time, this leads to real physical problems. Poor sleep, digestive issues, even heart problems. Blame isn't just an emotional habit. It's a physical one too. Now here's where it gets interesting. The fifth way blame ruins your life is that it makes you feel like a victim, even when you're not one. There's a difference between actually being wronged and choosing to live in a victim identity forever. Someone can genuinely hurt you. That's real. But if you build your entire identity around what happened to you, you never get to become anything else. You become permanently defined by your worst moments instead of your potential. That is one of the saddest traps I've ever witnessed people fall into. I met a man once who was still talking about a business partner who betrayed him 20 years earlier. 20 years. He introduced himself with that story before he even told me his own name. That betrayal had become his entire identity. Let's talk about the sixth issue, which is closely related. Blame blocks accountability, and without accountability, there is no real change. You might be wondering, isn't it sometimes true that other people really did cause the problem? Yes, absolutely. But here's the critical part. Even when someone else caused the problem, you are still responsible for your response. You are still responsible for what you do next. Blame conveniently erases that responsibility, and without responsibility, you can never build the life you actually want. I had to learn this the hard way. My finances were a mess for years, and I blamed a low salary, unfair bosses, and bad luck. All partially true. But none of that explained why I never created a budget or asked for a raise. The moment I took responsibility, my finances started improving within months. Now for the seventh and final way blame ruins everything. It steals your present moment. When you're focused on who did what and why it wasn't fair, you're not living in today. You're mentally stuck replaying yesterday, over and over, like a broken record that never lets you move forward. This is the real tragedy of chronic blaming. Life keeps moving. Time keeps passing. But you stay exactly where you are, reliving the same resentment while everyone else moves on with their lives. So what actually happened when I stopped blaming others? Let me be honest with you. It wasn't instant. It wasn't magical. But wait, Therese more, because the changes were deeper than I expected. The first thing I noticed was silence. My mind wasn't constantly running through arguments and justifications anymore. That mental noise just disappeared. The second thing I noticed was energy. I used to spend so much energy being angry at people who weren't even thinking about me. When I let that go, I suddenly had energy for things that actually mattered, like my goals, my health, and my relationships. The third change was the most surprising. People started trusting me more. When you stop blaming others, you naturally become someone who takes ownership. People can feel that shift, even if they can't explain it. Ownership builds trust, and trust builds better relationships. Here's the critical part I want you to understand. Letting go of blame does not mean pretending you weren't hurt. It does not mean excusing people who did terrible things. It simply means refusing to let their actions control your future any longer. If you do this one thing, you'll see results faster than you think. Start by asking yourself a simple question every time you feel the urge to blame. What is one thing I can control in this situation? Just one thing. That question alone can break the entire cycle. Another powerful practice is separating the event from your identity. Something happened to you. That's a fact. But it doesn't have to define who you are for the rest of your life. You get to decide what meaning it holds. I also recommend writing down the story you keep telling yourself about who wronged you. Then ask, is this story helping me grow, or is it just keeping me stuck? Most of the time, you'll be shocked by the honest answer. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Blame feels powerful, but it's actually the opposite. It's a slow, quiet way of giving your power away to people who probably aren't even thinking about you anymore. Freedom isn't found in proving you were right about who hurt you. Freedom is found the moment you decide your future is no longer their responsibility. That decision changed my entire life, and I believe it can change yours too. If this message resonated with you, think about one person or situation you've been blaming for far too long. Just one. Ask yourself if you're ready to take your power back. Because the moment you do, everything starts to shift.